just a pleb in disguise, but I stack my sats and I open my eyes. From rug pulls to riches, I walk through the fire. With knowledge and confidence, I'm rising high.
Welcome back to the Crypto Plebs channel. It's your boy Jumpman Crypto. I know it's been a while, guys. I know you guys missed me. I thought we would just vibe a little bit to some nice classical music. This helps soothe, all the emotions. I know a lot of normies are freaking out because we had a pullback over the weekend. We had some tariff news and, the typical stuff with Trump. If you guys have been living under a rock, the EU and China tariff talks have resurfaced again. We kind of covered this in the Discord. So, if you guys are not in Discords and you guys aren't part of a Discord that is letting you know all the information, maybe you guys should be making a considered attempt to join something that's a little bit more informative and keeping you guys laced up on what's happening in the markets. So, we had this Bitcoin conference that was pretty much to sell the news event. I did notify the Discords that we were shorting, and taking a few shorts. We had a few winners, we had a few losses, but as always, the gains outwin the losses because we use the proper, risk management tools that we have available on these exchanges that they provide to us. And we were most definitely seeing some gains over the weekend. So shout out to Femex. And, we had some interesting news with GameStop. They purchased $513 million worth of Bitcoin. So now they are part of the Bitcoin squad. And we had some Ethereum news. Sharplink purchased, a treasury Ethereum stake, like how they did with, the MicroStrategy. So their game plan is pretty much the same thing as MicroStrategy, but they are taking the Ethereum route. So Ethereum had a nice pump up to almost 2,800 and since pulled back down to 2,500. Right now, ETH is looking pretty good. I know a lot of people are freaking out, that it took a tumble down, but it's like I said, I encourage everybody to look at the charts and see the steady climbing of Ethereum from where we were at $1,300. We've neared 2x from that position. So I think everything, in my opinion, looks fine. Even tokens like Sol that were at 95, they got up to 180, almost close to 190 at one point, clean 2x. Everything looks fine to me. We're just, like I said, just trying to muscle through some of this, bearish news that we've been getting, I guess. But for the most part, I don't really think of it that bad. I would hope to think that, this is just noise. Hopefully we can get through it. We'll need to check the futures markets out a little bit before they open to see how everything goes. But, for the most part, I think everything's going according to plan. And we just got to see how this week kind of finishes up. But I did want to kind of touch over some things with the charts with Bitcoin. Like I said, Bitcoin did hit that all-time high of 112,000. And you don't really think about, it hasn't been getting that much hype. I think this is the first time, from the last few years that we haven't seen any, euphoria in the markets. I think, Bitcoin has had one of the most dullest all-time highs ever. Because I think 90% of people are holding all altcoins, so a lot of people are kind of pissed and salty. But, Bitcoin did break its all-time high and it pulled back a little bit down to that 103. Guys, I gave a notification in both Discords that that's where I believe that it was going. And sure enough, it hit that target. I was shorting ETH. I had a nice little 20x short and a 50x short on it. So I was pretty much printing on that. I closed it out. I did have a few of them, like I said, that did not do well. But, for the most part, right now, I am just sitting and waiting for this next leg up or leg down. Right now, we have a trend line right here at this 103 mark. And I'm waiting to see what's going to happen. If we're going to pull back down to this area and drop back down, we have support down here at that 102 area. And and we still have that CME's future gap at 96K. Could we come down there? Who knows? Like I said, I think that right now the best approach is just to kind of wait and see. Just like we were talking about with Ethereum, guys, look, I know a lot of people were freaking out, but look, I just encourage everybody to kind of go back to where we were in the beginning of May. The beginning of May, we were at $1,700. Right now, we're at 2,500. Literally within a month, we've had almost about a good $1,000 in growth from Ethereum. So it's right now it's doing what it's doing, guys. It's in this new channel right here, bouncing around, ping ponging. And look, we do have some buy orders set down here in this low $2,300 zone. If it does come down there, I'm not concerned. I have buy orders set down there, guys. But for the most part, it's just doing what it does. I did want to kind of go over, the Trump portfolio. I was looking through everything to see if these guys have picked anything else up. There is a meme token here called Bulldon. Keeping an eye on it. I'm not going to purchase it, but I just want to see what the deal is with that. And like I said, my goal is just to continue to accumulate some of these altcoins that these guys have, which is going to be Say, Link, Ethereum, Aave, Ondo, and AVAX. Even though Ondo is probably the one of the group that's kind of pissing me off the most, it's kind of taken over that position from ETH. I'm still kind of doubling down and just gritting my teeth and buying this Ondo and hoping for the best, and just seeing how everything plans out. I've talked about this token in the beginning of my YouTube career, Arkham Intelligence. I'm not talking about the token itself, just the platform. I use this to kind of like basically just scan through and see if there's any transactions being made or if anything's selling or anything is happening on the chain that I need to see. For the most part, everything's been kind of quiet. There's not much going on right now, so we just got to kind of wait and see. Look, as long as all this kind of just stays in this limbo area where there's not much being talked about, hopefully this stuff can ice down. I think that we can get this next push up. But like I said, tokens like Sui, Solana, these are still coins that I still believe in. I think these are going to be great tokens that we can accumulate, and we can just check this out while we're on the video right now. So yeah, Sui's at what, 327. I think setting buy orders down here at these order blocks right here at 310, and maybe even down here in this lower 270. If we get some bad news, that would be maybe a good idea. Could we come down here? Most definitely. There's always something that could pop off here in the market, so it's good just to kind of stagger your buys down here. But I would most definitely start at the 320 and just layer them down all the way down here to $3 flat, even to 280, and see if we get lucky. And let's cover Sol real quick. I did pick up some Solana the other day. I picked up about 70 Sol. I gave an alert down to the Discord. We're in this rising wedge right here. That's a bearish pattern. Looks like it's kind of already played out already, guys. 154. I was telling the Discord, hey, we could probably see some buys down here in this area right here. You guys want the exact levels. You guys know what to do. Links are below. Don't be a cheapo, man. This is how it is. In the markets, you're either going to be part of a Discord and be part of a community that's helping you out, or if you're lacking, you're gonna get murdered out here in these crypto streets. A lot of YouTubers right now, they're just making YouTube videos, fighting with one another, doing reviews on other YouTubers because the markets ain't got nothing going on, and these guys are trying to stay relevant. And instead of providing information, to the people, they just going after each other, eating each other like hyenas. And over here in Plebs, we're teaching, starting from ground zero. We're looking for new members and just trying to start over from the top. A lot of these YouTubers, they've made their money already, and they're just trying to keep the grift going. Over here in Plebs, we're trying to make generational moves here. So you guys are looking for a family, the links are below. Tap in and show your support to the family. All right, so yeah, this rising wedge, targets below. Still keeping an eye on it. There's a few other plays that I'm looking at too. I scooped up some ADA. Look, ADA has been really weak over the weeks, man. It's been one of these coins that have just keeps going back to this, 60, 62 cents, 59 cents. And when I saw it down here at this lower end, I had to scoop it up. So for me, I'm back on the ADA train again. Anytime it starts falling below close to 59 cents, I'm going to have to grab it up. As far as where I'm going to be taking it at, you know, I'm most definitely looking for something up here in these upper areas right here, just for a nice clean 2x. But like I said, if you guys want more in-depth levels and stuff like that, you guys are gonna have to tap in over here. Let's see. Yeah, so that's ADA. And then before I close this out, guys, just wanted to touch on something real quick. VMEX is having a competition. Plebs has entered it. I think we got it starts in 7 days. So if you are my plebsters and you guys are listening to this, we have 7 days to get you enrolled into this group. I think it's me and a few other guys that are already enrolled. Right now, like I said, guys, I'm not trading right now. I'm waiting to see how this market opens up on Monday, and then we're going to start unleashing the hounds on these Femex G's over here and let them know how we're doing it. So shout out to Femex. They got all kinds of stuff here, guys. You can leverage trade, spot buy, and all that kind of stuff. So make sure to use the links below, tap in with us, and we'll see how this goes. But anyways, guys, I just want to give a quick, brief market update. Like I said, there's not much really happening other than, this whole tariff stuff. Markets are overreacting. You get on social media, you see every YouTuber basically saying the market's over. We're not going to have an altcoin season. Same stuff. Guys, look, I just strongly encourage that, if you're seeing stuff like this, just unfollow these individuals and move on. And just watch somebody that not necessarily is telling you what you want to hear, but, that you're actually getting information and, and getting things that you need. You're not necessarily looking for a life coach. There's a few of these other YouTubers that just, they sit in front of a screen for you for 15, 20 minutes and just tell you about you should hold, and they don't really offer any other type of advice than just being a life coach. You want to be in a group that's actually showing you things, showing you how to buy, how to figure out the buy levels, mild technical analysis. We show that here, but we don't, like I said, TA is not the only thing that, you have to go by in these markets. You have to make sure that you are understanding, macro events and staying up with the M2 money supply and keeping up with monetary policies and all these things like that. There's so much stuff, guys, and even, at my part, I'm still going through some of the learning process as well. But we have a great community with different people in here with different ideas and different aspects, men and women, all kinds of people in here. We're printing our Discord. Like I said, we had a bunch of guys that have never traded. Now we got people that are taking trades on their own, making big gains from small gains. So we encourage you guys to join the family. Again, links will be below, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Sibs,
I'll let you, boy.
We turn knowledge into power. This is the Plebs Roost channel, where underdogs rise.
In a world where knowledge is power and confidence is key, we rise from the depths of adversity.
Started from the bottom, just a pleb on the chain. No fame, no gain, just struggle and strain. But I studied the code, learned to ride the wave. Crypto taught me how to build and how to brave. From the ashes of doubt, I mind my worth. While the world tried to crash me, I found rebirth. Bitcoin in my brain, blockchain in my soul. Now I move with precision, eyes on the goal. They said I was broke, just a pleb in disguise. But I stacked my sats and I opened my eyes. From rug pulls to riches, I walk through the fire. With knowledge and confidence, I'm rising high. I ain't chasing Lambo dreams, I'm chasing the truth. Reading white papers like scriptures in the booth. Self-custody, mind state, defy my path. Turn my pain into purpose, my scars into math. This is for the plebs, the ones they overlooked. Build it slow and steady while the whales got shook. We meant our own fate, no need for the gate. Crypto's the key, and plebs don't wait. They said I was broke, just a pleb in disguise. But I stacked my sats and I opened my eyes. skies. From rug pulls to riches, I walk through the fire. With knowledge and confidence, I'm rising high.